Welcome on in, everybody. Just to do talking sports amongst other things. If you enjoy the content, and hopefully you do, we ask that you hit the subscribe button, please. We appreciate your support and just appreciate you guys being a part of this growing community. Rainy Thursday afternoon here in Charlotte, North Carolina, but it is what it is. We're getting a little, I guess, the remnants of Hurricane Helen or Helena. Um, the big story of the day, and actually this news broke on Tuesday night, but I'm usually slow. I like to let things percolate and marinate so that we can get all the facts. I'm not here to break any news stories. You have other industry professionals doing that. We're just here to be a resource and just have a little conversation with you. Matthew Sluka, who is the starting quarterback of the UNLV 3-0 running Rebels, has decided that he's entering the transfer portal. Why? Because upon leaving Holy Cross, which Sluka was a stud at the FCS level, he was last year's Patriot League Offensive Player of the Year and a finalist for the Walter Payton Award. Sluka was great at Holy Cross. But apparently he was guaranteed a $100,000 payment from UNLV. That has not taken place yet. And Sluka and his agent and his family said, you know what? Business is business. And UNLV football, you have not upheld your end of the bargain. So we're out. Matthew Sluka, in his own words off his Twitter account, I have decided to utilize my red shirt year and will not be playing in any additional games this season. I committed to UNLV based on certain representations that were made to me, which were not upheld after I enrolled. Despite discussions, it became clear that these commitments would not be fulfilled in the future. I wish my teammates the best of luck this season and hope for the continued success of the program. Few thoughts. UNLV football, if you're going to play in the big game of college football, because the shame of the matter is UNLV is off to its best season in program history. They're 3-0. They beat Kansas and they beat another Big 12 program that escapes me right now, Kansas State. So they have two wins over Big 12 programs, which they were in the in the leaders poll to secure that group of five CFP playoff spot. Over $100,000 UNLV. I mean, just go down to the Vegas Strip somewhere. You can probably find, three quarters of that floating around somewhere down on the Vegas Strip. Over $100,000 UNLV for a starting quarterback. I mean, that's chump change, really, in today's era of NIL. Like I said, Sluka probably, he won't be. He's not an NFL quarterback. However, I mean, the dude's he's a pretty good athlete, 6'3", 215. I can certainly see him if he wants to change positions, maybe a tight end or receiver, because he's that kind of athlete that he may get invited to someone's camp. But he's not going to be an NFL quarterback at the next level. But herein lies the trouble. The NCAA and all these incompetent leaders, and yes, I'm going to say white men, with their greed and with their incompetence, years ago could have fixed this problem. All you had to do is pay the kids something. Anything could have fixed this problem. Now you have college football like old Western town. No stoplights, no yellow lines on the streets. Lights go off at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Absolutely no rules. No rules to protect the kids. No rules to protect the teams. There are absolutely no rules. And, we're not supposed to be in the pay to play mode, but we all know this is exactly what it is. NIL is not supposed to be used as an inducement to get kids to transfer schools, but that's exactly what it is. So Sluka Reports are that he received $3,000 to move cross country from Massachusetts, where Holy Cross is located, out to Las Vegas. But yet, it's the third game, so if he wanted to redshirt, he could not. He had one more game, which is the fourth game, to do so before he loses that year of eligibility. And look, I don't blame him. I mean, I hate the fact that it is what it is, but I don't blame Sluka and his family. I think they made the absolute right decision. If it were me and my son, we would do the exact same thing. If you were promised something, hey, I'm upholding my end of the bargain. I'm out here playing my heart out. I'm rushing 15 times a game, getting bruised and battered. I expect my money. It's a business, folks, and it has always been a business. Just now, the kids are really starting to realize, hey, there is no business without me. I am the show. No one tunes in to see a coach. So, really kudos for him for doing it. Let me see if I can bring you guys some more hard facts on it. So, just to give you an idea what type of player Sluka was last year at Holy Cross and FCS. The last 3 years of Holy Cross, the team was 10-3, 12-1, and 5-4. In fact, the program was so successful that upon Curt Cignetti departing James Madison for Indiana University, they hired Holy Cross's former coach, Bob Chesney, to JMU. That's how successful the team was. So, the kids get the coaches paid all the time. Give me mine. That's what it's all about. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that's where Sluka will end up. Don't know if I don't know if James Madison can pay him the 100 to 250 or whatever he's looking for, but there are already, relationships there with the former coaching staff and sorts. So don't be surprised if Sluka ends up with James Madison. However, James Madison that might be a problem because they have a talented sophomore quarterback in Alonzo Burnett. As many of you saw last Saturday when they tore up the North Carolina Tar Heels. So, how do we get here? It's just the incompetence of the NCAA and people that were paid to figure these issues out. Athletic directors and presidents burying their heads in the sand where they should have came up with a plan to pay the kids instead of trying to hide behind that facade of student athlete. It's not student athlete. These kids are semi-pro or really pro players. You can't have the college football championship held in the same arena that the Super Bowl is held in and say that these kids are amateurs. All right? Make up your minds, college football. And I think college football has been made up its mind. You're going to have a professional league here, then the only fix I see are contracts in play. For instance, if there was a contract between Sluka and UNLV, Sluka upholds his end of the bargain. He gets us $100,000. UNLV has a quarterback. Should Sluka decide he's not happy with the program for whatever reason, he transfers. UNLV can claw back their $100,000. You got a business arrangement, and that's the only way that I see that it's going to be fixed. There's going to have to be collective bargaining. You're going to have to sign a contract. In the same way that Patrick Mahomes can't just say, you know what, I'm not happy here in Kansas City. I want to go to the Raiders. No, there's contracts in place, right? There's collective bargaining in place that says, nope, you can't do that. The Kansas City Chiefs, because you're not a free agent, they paid you, they own your rights. And that's how it's going to have to be in college. And until it's that way in college, you're going to have situations like this, where kids are promised money to transfer. And then once they get to the schools don't have the money, or they're just a bunch of lying used car salesmen, where they get the kids on campus and then say, okay, you're on campus, we're not going to pay you. Well, it's going to be messy. And this is going to cause UNLV, I guarantee, much more than $100,000 in reputational damage. This is going to hurt them. I don't know what kind of players they were getting beforehand, but this is going to hurt them if they try to go out and secure any other players in the portal. UNLV, if you're trying to play in the pool with the big boys, You got to play in the pool with the big boys and bring the bag. Because if you don't bring the bag, this is going to be a problem going forward. And check this out. This kid was just only asking for $100,000. Well, like just yesterday, UNLV just got paid a stay-in-place fee by the Mountain West Conference for not leaving and going to the Pac-12. So we're talking about $25 million UNLV just got. See, the problem is you got greedy adults mucking up the system. And that's the way it's always been. That $25 million is going into the pockets of administrators. That should be going into the pockets of athletes because that's the product, right? Without the athletes, you have no TV rights. You have no stadiums getting filled. You have no concessions. That's what it is, folks. And yeah, this is kind of personal. Any of you that know me personally know that I have a student. I have a family member who's a so-called student athlete at a FCS school. So it's very personal to me. I've been saying it for years that kids should get paid. Like for instance, what would be stopping a coach, influential coach like Nick Saban or Dabo Swinney, who is making Kirby Smart, who making 12 million, Brian Kelly making $12 million a year, to set aside $25,000 a year for kids in their program, to put that money into a trust fund for the 99 percenters who are never going to take an NFL snap, so that when they graduate from college and they take the next step and they have to become working adults, that they have a little nest egg to get them off to a great start in life, whether they want to buy a first-time home or, purchase a car or whatever the case may be. Maybe they have kids, whatever the case may be. And to show you how greedy these coaches are and how mucked up the system is with all this corruption and greed, those contributions from these coaches, if they were allowed to do so, right, they could establish 501c3s, make the $25,000, $30,000 contributions to these kids' trust funds, which they could not touch until they either graduated from the programs or left the programs. That's all tax deductible money. It's not hard, right? The NCAA tries to make this thing real hard. It's not. It's how every other professional, including myself, including a lot of you out there, if you leave one company and go to another company, if you sign the contract with that company, then they have the right not to pay you. And once you leave company A and go to company B, that relationship is over. No hard feelings, because your employment most of the time was at will. Them as an employer offer you a job was at will. As long as you're professional about it and you put in your 2-week notice, no one's feelings are hurt. It's just that's the way of business. That's the way of commerce in the United States of America, except when it comes to college athletics. When it comes to college athletics, for some reason, college administrators and presidents and ADs, you want to tie the kids up and make them unpaid free labor source. That sounds familiar. That's totally immoral, not right. It's never been right. But that's what they're trying to make it. And kudos to Matthew Sluka and his family. So stay tuned. It'll be interesting to see where Sluka ends up. For my money, it's going to be JMU, but I don't know if JMU is the right fit because they have Alonzo Barnett, who's a sophomore and very talented. And I'm not sure if JMU has the resources that they can come off the hip and pay Sluka the $250 to $500,000 that he's looking for. But $100,000 for an FBS quarterback with Sluka's output and performance is chump change in today's NIL landscape. So stay tuned, folks. As usual, thank you for joining us. Any comments, love to hear from you. And have a wonderful Thursday, everybody. Peace.